All right. Welcome into On the Clock NFL Draft Show. This is episode number 35. This is part of the Toilets to Titles podcast network. And I'm joined by some dudes, some guys who know their stuff. I'm super excited to discuss some NFL draft prospects with them. And one thing hit me while I was watching that intro, and I'm just going to put it out there. We're 2 weeks into the NFL season. We're 3 weeks into the college football season. We are closer to the NFL draft than we've been. Like, obviously, that's how time works. So this isn't rocket science, coach. I'm not Albert Einstein. But, man, like, before we know it, it's going to be week 8, week 9. Teams are going to be eliminated. We're going to be mock drafting. Like, we're 5 weeks away from that. But I'm going to introduce my guy, my co-host. He's the guy on this journey with me. That's Nino Brown at Nino Brown _T2T. How we doing?
I'm good. I'm excited. I love, doing this show every week. We get to break down prospects and guys that, we were high on that hit the week of, right? And we would just recap them. But I'm excited to bring on, the guy at the bottom of the screen and let him talk prospects, because we've chatted for a while back and forth through DMs about guys that we like and stuff in last class. And we already started a little bit on this class. And he's a very knowledgeable guy. And I think everybody's going to like what he's got to say. So I can't wait to chop it up with him.
Yeah, man. And we've gone through a little bit of a series of guests, right? We had Dane Brugler, we had Jay Crane, and now we have a young up-and-coming draft analyst at Brown University right now. All right. It's Efram Geller at Mr. Irrelevant, and he is joining the Toilets to Titles network. He is going to be helping us with draft content. He's going to be helping us with our player profiles, which you can find. We're already writing our player profiles over at toilettitle.com. Eventually, he's going to be helping us with our big board, and he's going to be affiliated with the On the Clock podcast. He's going to be hopping on here and there and helping us dig deep into these prospects. That's my guy, Efram, at Mr. Irrelevant. How are we doing this evening?
Great. It's great to be back with you guys. Feels like yesterday was the NFL draft, hopping on the live stream. And yeah, I'm excited to talk some prospects. A couple weeks into the NFL season, a couple weeks into the college football season. There's a lot going on, a lot to break down.
Man, and he's in college now. I've been seeing, looks like he's got some hairs growing in on his chin. He's bulked up a little bit. So what a difference a year makes, Efram, man. But I want to, guys, let's dive right into it. Like I said, so it's football is rolling. Let's recap some performances from week 2. Week 1 was absolutely electrifying, but week 2 started with Kansas. So how do you guys feel about Devin Neal? 10 carries, 120 yards, and 1 touchdown versus Illinois. Nino, I'm going to pass to you first.
Listen, I've been waiting. I saw we flashed. He saw flashes of Neal last year, right? He's got a great mobile QB in Daniels, but he got injured a few times, and Bean came in, and Neal was able to, grow and excel as a running back. He's good in between the tackles. He's also really good on the outside. He's got hands. He can catch the ball. He's a good pass catching option for Kansas. He just seems to be clicking on all cylinders this year, getting to the next level. When he gets through the hole, his vision looks a little bit more rounded out and well-balanced. I'm a big fan of Neal. I think he's going to be a riser in this class. Don't get me wrong. He's not a top 3 running back, but I do believe Neal will be a riser. By the end of the year, everybody's going to know about him in this draft class.
There, like, some people in our circle were buzzing. Like, you could tell there were some people who've been waiting for him to pop. And one of the great things about the running back position is you don't need to be a round 2 or 3 guy. Like, it's easy to fall, like, to kind of have, plant your flag on a guy as a 4th or 5th rounder. Like last year for me, it was Israel Abanikanda, where he got drafted, it stinks. But like you can plant your flag on guys like that because that's, NFL doesn't value them highly, but there's still a good chance they could break a starting rotation. I mean, look at
100%.
Roshan Johnson, right?
Right.
All right. Efram, I'm going to toss one up to you next. Quarterback out of Miami, but I do want to let everybody know Marvin Harrison is okay. 7 receptions, 160 yards, 2 touchdowns. So we panicked week 1 about the Ohio State offense. We don't need to touch on Marvin Harrison. I'm sure we're going to be touching on him a whole lot. If you're listening to the show, you know about Marvin Harrison, but he bounced back against Youngstown State. But one guy I want Efram to discuss, Tyler Van Dyke, the quarterback out of Miami. What a day. 21 for 34, 374 yards, 5 touchdowns versus Texas A&M, who was the favorite to win that ball game. Dude looked like he had ice in his veins. What are your thoughts on Tyler Van Dyke?
Yeah, he's a guy who feels like he's been around the draft and profile scene for a little bit. He was excellent, like firing on all cylinders, winning on all 3 levels, intermediate, short, and deep passes. And his poise just seems to get better every year. He was throwing I think it was like a 25-yarder on the seam that was just right on the money. His footwork, it's like the year of the college quarterback where every college quarterback's coming back and they all look much better. Tyler Van Dyke, Shedeur Sanders, Bo Nix, everyone's just improving all the more so this year. And he's right there with everyone else. I don't think he gets that much love because I think people have soured on him, after last season a little bit. And, hell of a game, 5 touchdowns, 374 yards. And I'm excited to see what he does next because his stock can really be anywhere. No one really knows what's going on with him. Day 2, he's a quarterback, so he can go high.
Yeah, Tyler Van Dyke, I could see him kind of being like next year's Aiden O'Connell. Somebody like I could see him kind of being some. What are your thoughts?
So I was my thing is I started out last year not against TVD because they put him in the same class as Will Levis, and I didn't think that he was in that boat. I'm a Will Levis guy, obviously, but we saw, excuse me, what he did last year. My concern is when he was put in positions to throw the ball 30, 35 times last year, he kind of had Katy Perry moments. He'd be hot one game and then he'd be cold the next game. And you really didn't know what Tyler Van Dyke you were going to get. But I think this year, the wide receiver room is healthy, right? He was good the first couple of games last year when he had Xavier Restrepo, who was a speedster and could play all over the field. But one thing I'm noticing this year is he's peppering the ball to everybody, right? This week alone, it was he brought in Young. He got Young started early, caught him down the sidelines. So he's going through his progressions better, and he's utilizing all the weapons in the room. They have a run game this year, which helps him, defense to stay honest. And he's not getting attacked. It's only been 2 weeks, but he's not getting attacked like he was last year. So I want to see as we go forward. But these first 2 games, I'm liking what I'm seeing.
Promising. Well, I'm going to toss you this alley. You have Troy Franklin, wide receiver out of Oregon, 6 receptions, 103 yards, and a touchdown versus Texas Tech.
First of all, I was told that the Ducks were going to lose to Texas Tech. But that didn't happen.
Last week on this show?
Yeah, on this show by my guy, Jay Crane. Didn't happen. But listen, Troy Franklin is in a crowded, talented wide receiver room, right? You have Tez Johnson. You have Gary Bryant Jr. You have himself, Jurian Dickey. He just consistently wins, right? It does not matter. He might not get, 13 targets, but whenever he gets targets, he catches. Right. And he lives in the end zone this season.
There's value to that.
Yeah, last year he didn't get as many touchdowns, but he's already got back-to-back touchdowns, back-to-back 100-yard games. I think last week was only 92 yards, but he's right there. He's sniffing it, right? He's Bo Nix's guy, and he's winning. He's winning early in his routes, and they're really crisp. My man's living in the end zone. I think Troy Franklin is a guy. I don't know what it is. I haven't really seemed to catch on yet. Like, I know I'm Oregon guy, so I'm partial. But in this college football circle, I see people writing these threads and writing about, top performers. Bo Nix don't get no credit, and Oregon ain't getting no credit, and Franklin's not getting no credit. I just don't get it. Like, keep sleeping on the Ducks. That's fine. But in the end, these guys are going to be there, and they're all going to say, oh, well, because he doesn't do bad doesn't mean he doesn't climb your board, right? Like, right. I see a lot of people say, oh, well, he didn't move the needle for me, or he didn't, compared to the other guys in the class, he didn't, Troy Franklin didn't dominate like Marvin Harrison. Okay, but he's not Marvin Harrison. Right. We all know that. Right. But in the guys after the Ohio State wide receivers and the Washington Husky wide receivers, Troy Franklin's right there.
Right. Right. I like it. I like it. All right, Ephraim, we got two players out of Texas. All right, Jatavion Sanders, 5 receptions, 114 yards, stud tight end, and then A.D. Mitchell, 3 receptions, 78 yards, 2 touchdowns. So tell me about those guys who absolutely balled out in Texas versus Bama.
Yeah, just to start with A.D. Mitchell, 3 catches, and all 3 catches were nasty. He hit one right up the seam, like 40-yard touchdown, and that's a deep catch right in the middle of the field. And then he had a little slant on Nino's guy, Kool-Aid McKinstry, torched him one,
Yeah.
two in the end zone, right? So he went deep in the middle, and then he went shallow in the middle. And then on his third catch, it was a nice 15-yard fade against, once again, Kool-Aid McKinstry, who we got the better of. Anytime you go up against a number one corner and you torch him like that, you got to take notice of that. But the best thing about him is he won 3 catches on all 3 different levels of the field, on a fade to the outside, on a seam to the middle, and to slant. So he's a guy who's super athletic. Everyone knows that. But he has a separation in the ball skills that got him on the rise. The sky's the limit for A.D. Mitchell. And then Jadavian Sanders, also fantastic. He had a catch where he was just in the middle of the field breaking tackles, 114 yards and 5 receptions for any tight end. Brock Bowers included is a great stat line. He has the size, he has the speed, versatility. He wins on all 3 levels. I will say the one thing that kind of caught my eye that was a little disappointing was, I know he's not the traditional inline blocker, but there were some reps which were ugly. Like he went against Dallas Turner and he got whooped. So again, I don't know how NFL scouts are seeing this because I don't know how they're going to play him. But if he wants to be an inline blocker or play some sort of that role, he needs to improve. But those 2 Texas weapons, hell of a game. They're a big reason why they came out on top.
I love that you pointed out that he is currently a Mike Gesicki type tight end. He cannot block to save his life. But the thing is, and I think what's going on right now is it's the Travis Kelce effect, right? Travis Kelce can't block at all. We know that. He doesn't like to block. He said he hadn't been blocking in Cincinnati. Just is the way it is, right? He tries to get better at it, but he's not a blocking tight end. He doesn't sit on inline. He's out there being a playmaker. A lot of these kids coming in want that role, right? They want to be that 6'2", 6'3", 6'4" tight end, a 225, athletic. I don't really want to block, but I can go out there and get you 9 receptions for $120 and a touchdown. I think it's going. I can see a lot of these athletic guys who a little bit bigger than a wide receiver, not big enough to be that guy who can dominate like Donnell Washington, right?
Look at Dalton Kincaid and Luke Musgrave.
Exactly.
Look at their draft capital last year.
They don't block.
The NFL is like, bring them on.
Right. I mean, you get Bowers and Mayer who can block and catch. So those are the,
Well, then Tucker Kraft, who could do a little bit of both, and he goes 2 rounds after a Luke Musgrave, who's, a phenomenal catcher of the football. He's a solid route runner, but the NFL just wants, right now, it's points, but it is a copycat league. It's a copycat league. Teams are, every now and then there'll be a shift. The team will slow the game down, play great defense, run the football, and then everybody else will have to catch up. And draft cycle will be different names playing different positions, because that's what like right now we're talking about these types of tight ends, and we're on the other side of the football, we're talking about corners who are 6'2", 6'3", long arms, who can press, but also are freaks because they'll press you and punch you in the mouth, but their hips are fluid and they can run a 4.40 40 and they can catch up with you if they miss. It's insane. That's what's hot right now. That's what teams love.
And the big thing is that you get these tight ends who could run routes and beat tight ends and corners from a scheme perspective. You have the Bills right now running what they call an 11.5 personnel with Dawson Knox and Kincaid. So now you have these guys who are beating schemes because you can't cover them with a linebacker because they're too fast. You can't cover them with a corner because they're too big. I don't know how the NFL is going to adjust, but right now these Luke Musgrave, Dalton Kincaid guys are going to go high every year.
100%, because you have to either cheat the safety down or have a nickel back in there to cover. But now what happens? Now you get your big wide receiver 1, the alpha on the outside, and one-on-one coverage. You better hope that guy can live on an island, because you have no help, because you have a guy that can just eat up the middle of the field. With A.D. Mitchell, can we please stop saying that Georgia cannot develop wide receivers? This kid was a 3-star coming into Georgia, right? Health was an issue for him. But in 2 years, when he was on the field, all that dude did was catch touchdowns. And now you went to Texas, where there's more talent in the wide receiver room, where you could spread it, and this kid's getting one-on-one matchups against, arguably, to me, the best DB in college football, and made this kid look stupid. Like, McKinstry was missing tackles. He doesn't miss tackles. He was getting beat on tackles. He was getting beat off the line of scrimmage. The touchdown to AD, the first one, Kool-Aid was beat within 2 steps. 2 steps. He was beat. And Quinn threw the ball on a gosh darn rope to him, and it was beautiful. But yeah, AD Mitchell is coming to fruition in front of everybody's eyes on the biggest stage.
All right, here's another oop for you, Nino. 2 of your guys. One of them's out of the University of Miami. Cam Kitchens, 7 tackles, 3 solo, an interception, a fumble recovery. And then I want you to go right into Devin Leary, quarterback out of Kentucky, who went 24 for 38, 63.2 completion percentage, 299 yards, 4 touchdowns, and interception.
I'm glad to see that Cam Kitchens is healthy. He left the end of that game on a stretcher. Apparently, he's okay. Got caught it off, not a stretcher, but got caught it off. Apparently, from what Chris Ball was saying, he's okay. Everything worked out fine. He's going to be okay. I don't know if he's going to play the next game. They might give him a week off, but my man got the first interception on Connor Wegman in his career. Okay, Wegman had been in 7 starts and never thrown a pick in his life. Kitchen just ate him up. Now, ball was tipped. That's fine. I get it. And Aeneas Smith, tipped the ball. But if Aeneas Smith didn't tip the ball, he was going to get his head rocked. So Kitchen was set up to be at the right place at the right time. But that's what he's done his whole time in Miami, right? He's a huge – I've been saying it for a while. Reminds me of Sean Taylor, God rest his soul. He can play physical. He can knock the snot out of you. He's got hands. Get the ball in his hands, and he's a playmaker. His stock is driving through the roof at every game he plays. I'm a Kool-Aid guy. I'm a Kitchens guy. It's safety 1 and DB 1 for me. Nubin's making a push. I know that's, Efram's guy, Nubin, but he's not Cam Kitchens. I just don't think he has the all-around skill. Now, Devin Leary, another guy like Bo, I feel is not getting any buzz, right? Now, I get it. Eastern Kentucky isn't the toughest team. I don't care. Neither was Rice, right? Neither was, some of these other teams that these big programs are playing. Who did Georgia play off the rip? Middle Tennessee? Come on. You know what I mean? So, but he's locking in, right? He seems to be comfortable. He said in interviews I've seen, and the one we did with CF Nation, he chose Kentucky because he knew of the talent in the wide receiver room. Man, him and Barry Brown are clicking. They are clicking, and Barry Brown's a dude. Devin Leary seems like he's healthy. That line is improved. Obviously, that offensive scheme is improved with the new OC over there in Kentucky. I think Devin Leary is quietly back. And I'm waiting for that big game when he does it again like he did at NC State, for 2 years. And everybody's like, oh, okay. Devin Leary is back on the horse, and he's ready to take a run.
Just somebody's got to slip him some mayonnaise. Slip him some mayonnaise. You know what I mean? Get him a sponsorship, and then the world to be sold. All right, I want to move on to our game of the week. All right, we really touched on, but I'm gonna just quickly. Roman Wilson, wide receiver out of Michigan, 4 receptions, 89 yards, 2 touchdowns on the season. 10 receptions, 167 yards, 5 touchdowns, and then 16 YPC. That's
yards per catch.
Yards per carry.
Man, that just it's 937. Right. Yards after contact, yards per catch. My brain was fried. All right. Darius Hodges, edge, Tulane, 3 tackles, solo tackle, 1.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sacks, 5 total pressures, which is damn good. All right. And he has a 75 PFF pressure grade. All right. So these are 2 guys you need to put on your radar.
One quick tidbit I'm going to throw out there real quick. Roman Wilson is this year's Jalen Hyatt. We can go.
Okay, we can go. Well, that fired me up. You know what else fires me up, Nino? Tuteless energy. So why don't we talk about it?
Listen, I had to have a little bit beforehand because I got a long night. I got 4 pods to record today. I'm 2 in out of 4. So I got me, the green apple, Dubby. It's Tuteless energy. It's clean. It's healthy. And it tastes good for you. So when you're grinding it out like us 3 gentlemen do, whether it be at Brown, getting at academics, or, me and Coach on a podcast, just grinding out, talking draft and whatever it may be, go to Totes Titles, click the link, get yourself 10% off by typing in Title Tribe, and enjoy some Tuteless energy because everybody could always use the boost now and then.
Yeah, man, everybody. So Efram, you can go ahead, post it on the message board at Brown. Anybody who's got to study, post the W code. All right. And they can go pick some of that up. If you want to support the show, patreon.com/toilets to titles. Tier 1 is $1.50 per month. Tier 5 is $20. We got something in between right now. As far as fantasy goes, we're nonstop. We're nonstop all year with the NFL draft stuff. We have a Gilded chat, which you can get in if you reach out to me, toilets to titles@gmail.com. We have like 20 threads in there. Fantasy trades, NFL draft talk, DFS, gambling advice, anything you could need. We got a community of 220 plus people. You can be a part of that community. We want you there. Any fantasy NFL draft discussion you want to have, it's probably 15 to 20 other people who want to have that discussion with you, either want to pick your brain or want to allow you to pick their brain. So let's get you in there, and you get into the Patreon tier, which has an exclusive chat where we have all sorts of giveaways and content. We gave away, I got a Sam Ellinger jersey I'm probably going to give away at some point. We already mentioned once we get to 50, I can't even find this autograph right here, but it's somewhere around me. I got a Caleb Williams autograph Funko I'm going to give away when we get to 50 Patreons. We're at like 44 now. So get in there so you get a shot at that. Enough about that. Week 3, we are here. College football season is off and rolling. South Carolina at Georgia is the game of the week. It's not Texas, Alabama.
It's all right, though. It's all right, though.
It's Saturday at 3:30. Brock Bowers. Probably one of the top 5 players in the nation. Draft Countdown has him number 5 overall. Efram, I'm going to toss you this one. Tell us about Brock Bowers. Let everybody know who's going to be watching this game. Let them know about Brock Bowers.
That is a layup because Brock Bowers is, he's arguably the best prospect in this class, regardless of position. It's him, Caleb Williams, and Marvin Harrison make up a nice big 3 right now. And honestly, the only thing left to ask is he a better prospect than Kyle Pitts? See what you got there. Yeah. He's catching passes everywhere, right? He's getting touches at the backfield. You don't see a tight end take handoffs to the end zone, but he's doing it, right? His yards after catch is ridiculous. He blocks with intensity. The only question about his game is his size. He's a little undersized. He's not the traditional massive tight end that the NFL seems to like, but everything else he has, hands, I said intensity, football IQ, blocking, route running. There's not much you can't do. I don't know who can guard him in college football right now. Everyone's ready for him to get in the NFL. He's been doing this for years now. He's the best prospect in this game.
Now, not only is he have all those skills and elite traits, experience factors in the playing time at Georgia, the playing time at a high level with Georgia when Georgia's been at their peak. Like, this is the best Georgia's been for as long as I can remember, and he's been a part of that. And their defense has been producing top-tier talent for the last 3 years, and he's been going head-to-head with these guys in practice. To me, you add that on top of his skills, and this guy is a player I want on my team.
No, for sure. And honestly, just to jump on this Georgia defense, Nazir Stackhouse.
Yeah, let's go next.
He's going to wreck this South Carolina offensive line who kind of can't protect their quarterback to save their life. 320 pounds and one of the best run defenders in this class. He's quick. He could stack. I was watching him versus Kentucky last year, I think earlier this week, and there were some reps where he just flashes brilliance off the snap. So if I'm watching, I'm watching 2 things. I'm watching the South Carolina receivers versus the Georgia secondary, and I'm watching Nazir Stackhouse to see what he can do.
Man, 6'3", 320 pounds. When I watched him, like, Cowboys drafted Mozzie Smith in the first round.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you like Mozzie Smith. Like, let me introduce you to Nazir Stackhouse. This guy is go. Let me.
Mazzie's just interior. Nazir is so athletic, he can play inside and outside.
Okay.
Right? Well, go ahead.
I agree with the inside outside, and that's what's fascinating about him. Just athleticism. Mozzie's tough to beat. You don't get that type of athleticism every year.
But this guy, just watching him collapse a pocket.
Yes.
Watch him take two guys and drive them both into the backfield. That's stuff I saw from Mozzie. And this guy, like, my first time watching him, that's what I noticed, right? Boom, he's driving 2 fellas into the backfield.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to the safety, the secondary, Nino. Javon Bullard. All right, he's number 30 on Draft Countdown. Nazir Stackhouse is number 20. All right, so this is another guy they have estimated to go into the first round. 5'11", 195 pounds. In 2022, he played in 14 games, 33 solo tackles, 14 assists, 7 tackles for loss, which I like, 3.5 sacks, which I like, 2 interceptions, 3 pass breakups. This guy gets around. He had an ankle injury last week. He might be a game-time decision. I don't know if that's been updated, but stay tuned to that. So tell us about Javon Bullard.
Listen, I like Bullard. He flies around the field. Dude just knows how to be around the ball, okay? He's a great tackler. Just 7 tackles for loss. So I love the fact that he can play in coverage and he get down in the box and get dirty. He has no problem getting in the backfield, looking for leather all the time. The thing is this year, I'm a little concerned because he has 0 pressure so far in 2 games, okay? For a guy who's lined up in the box multiple times already, I wonder, and the whole Georgia defense kind of in an anomaly is a little bit concerning to me. Stackhouse has 2 total tackles. You know what I mean? I think he has like 4 pressures in 2 games.
Right.
Like normally at this point, these dudes were eating at the buffet table and stacking up the stats. So I think this is a big game, and Efram hit it on the head, man. South Carolina has let up 12 sacks
Yeah.
in 2 games. I asked on the Garnett Roots, I asked Bosaj over under 40 sacks in the year because Kentucky was, I think, top 5 last year with 44, and I could see South Carolina passing that at this point. They just have there's 3 guys injured. 1 guy's going to be out again this week. They can't rotate enough bodies. I don't know if they can stop the speed and athleticism of everybody on the Georgia defense. I think, though, in this game, Bullock could eat for the fact that I think they're going to put him in the box, all right? Or he could spy, one of the two, because I know Ephraim's going to speak about his guy who has been going off in back-to-back weeks, leads college football in receiving yards. I don't know what the game plan is in with the Bulldogs. They have a lot of athletes, Lassiter as well, who can shift and
Well,
cheat.
Kamari, talk about Kamari Lassiter. 6 foot, 180. He's a quarterback for Georgia. Started all 15 games in 2022. Like, keeps a low pad level, good in coverage, high points the ball well. Tell me about Kamari Lassiter.
I think he's going to be on juice, okay? Because he can play physical at the line of scrimmage, right? His back pedal is good. He's fluid. He can cut in and out. He's not more of a guy to play on, he's not a guy that's going to be blitzing. You're not going to, DB blitzes off his side because, you have Bullet. So combined, them 2 guys are special. I haven't really seen them just ball out this year. I think this game is going to be it because you have 2 guys you're going to have to bottle up.
I was gonna toss it to Ephraim. There's these 2 guys we got to bottle up. Let's hear about them. We got Juice Wells, Xavier Leggett. Both these are the only 2 guys from South Carolina who made this list. 2 wide receivers.
Well, Rattler.
Well, we got Rattler too. But when's Rattler going?
We don't know. He's in that mix, right? Ephraim, you agree that he's in that 4 to 10 mix of the QBs in this class?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I wouldn't even say 4 to 10. I would say there's just like 10 to 15 quarters who are playing amazing. And he's right in there.
Yeah.
Man, but like the amount of beating this is another conversation for another day, but let's talk about him after this season's over because he's going to get the brakes beaten off physically. Like he's going to.
But what if he falls out? What if Beamer decides to go with a short, quick dunk and dink scheme? Right? You don't let Stackhouse. You don't let Small Munden. You don't let those guys get chance to attack you. Right? But you can do that. I mean, it would be a lot better if you had Bell on your team this year at tight end position.
Who is he throwing the ball to? Ephraim. Break these guys down.
So just to start, Juice Wells, who was the number 1 receiver on the team coming in, explosive, excellent, great with his ball in his hands, super fun to watch. Like I have a blast watching him. I had a blast watching him last year. But the name I really wanted to highlight, the name I was probably the most excited to speak about on this class in this video is Xavier Leggett, the receiver. South Carolina is an absolute monster. So he only had 170 yards all of last season. And then he comes in and has 300 in the first 2 games combined, right? He leads all of college football. So you see him at the top on any of the stat lists. You go watch his highlights. He's 6'2", 225, complete body control, physicality. He's great, excellent chemistry with Spencer Rattler. And he's been doing everything on, again, I like my receivers who have ball control, body control, ball skills, separation, and then they win on all 3 levels. And he's been doing all that the first 2 games. And you guys said he's going against Kamari Lassiter, he's going against Buller. That's the biggest test he's had so far. So if he could do it in this week, then, I mean, you got to start putting him up there at the big ones.
I'm with you 100%.
Yeah, and I agree with Nino. Like if Rattler, this is a huge game for him in his draft stock. Obviously, he could rebound. There's enough time to rebound. But if he balls, like it'd be easier for him. Like the effect of a bad game won't be as impactful as the effect of a great game. Like if he has a bad game, it's expected for him to have a bad game. His offensive line isn't playing well. It's Georgia. But if he crushes it, he's going to rise.
Just think if one of the GOATs went down last week in Alabama and then the next GOAT in Georgia goes down, right, in back-to-back weeks, that would shake up college football, right? But I think a key for Rattler in this game that I've seen in his first 2 games and I was aware of coming into it, he's got a quicker release. I
Right.
think he prepared for this offensive line to kind of be a puzzle going into it. You're going to be piecing in as you go. His release has been really quick, and he's been sharp. He's been cutting down on the turnovers. Leggett's the key with Leggett, or however you want to say it, is Rattler has underthrown him multiple times, but he's gone out there, and I know it's like, the cliche thing, and mossed guys to get balls. Like, I've seen him be underthrown and just jump up and put his body, like he says, great body control, put his body in a position where he shouldn't be in that position, make a catch around the DB, and go down and still get positive yards after that. So it's like, is he making up for Spencer Rattler's mistakes, or is he just that good? I think this is going to be the biggest test.
One thing I like about Spencer Rattler is, and he kind of like Bo Nix too. Like, Bo Nix came into Auburn, big name, and then college career didn't start the way he wanted to.
Right.
Matured, developed, was humbled, transfers, and it hasn't. And it seems like Rattler's been humbled. It seems like he's got it together. It seems like he's a team player. Like, he's taking these shots, and it doesn't look like he's throwing anybody under the bus. It looks like he's stepping back up, getting in the huddle, running the next play, which to me, I like to see that.
Everybody forgets he was a Netflix superstar, right? He was a Netflix, coming out of high school.
I think when he was in Oklahoma, it was showtime.
Yeah.
And now at South Carolina, it looks like business time.
But he seems to be locked in like he was
early
at Oklahoma, not the second season.
Right. But you know what I'm saying? Like, the approach looks more mature.
He like Quinn, he just took off the mullet.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. All right, I'm going to quickly touch on these two linebackers. Small Munden, junior linebacker, Georgia. He was 45th on draft countdown, 6'3", 220. He's another one of those tweener, sideline to sideline linebackers that have been coming out of Georgia lately. Former 5-star recruit. All right, but he's been a little banged up here and there. And then we got Jamon Dumas Johnson. He's number 58, so he's very close. So Small and Jamon, they might both go in the second round. 6'1", 230 pounds. That's 70 tackles, 9 tackles for loss, 4 sacks, forced fumble, 3 pass breakups in 2022. He's a rangy run defender inside. And finally, this guy interests me. Any center who started, I believe he started like 30 games already for the University of Georgia. Tate Ratledge, interior offensive lineman, playing center, 6'6", 315 pounds. Good handwork, finishes blocks, 78 PFF grade in pass protection. But when I watched this film, the way he gets out as a lead blocker when he's pulling, like, he'll get to the second level, he'll get his hands on a DB and just make that DB look like a Smurf. So,
he's 300-some pounds. Yeah. DB's like $180 soaking wet.
But he's got to move to get there.
Yeah, I feel you. And he's like a train, in full steam. So.
Yeah. So, all right, let's move on to week 3.
You're muted, Efram. You're muted.
Yeah, bit of a surprise. I know we ran a little late on this one, but unfortunately, being in college campus right now, my building is getting shut down, so I gotta head out. Very, very big surprise. I'm sorry. I didn't get to touch on my man, Brandon Dorless, hell of a competitor. He's man to watch, and he's awesome. I just want to say it's been an honor talking with you guys. It's been an honor being able to talk football. And, started something new. So
that's right.
Thank you guys for having me on.
Welcome to Toilets and Titles, man. We're happy to have you. We'll touch on these guys, and we'll do you justice, man. We'll talk to you soon. All right, so Efram, his 3 guys. We're going to start with Brandon Dorless, who I know you know, edge, Oregon versus Hawaii. Day 2 prospect, needed to add mass. Week 2, forced interception on pressure, fumble recovery, still slippery and bendy with added power, stepping up as the leader, will be moved inside more for week 3. And how will he handle that? So what are your thoughts on Brandon Dorless?
He alone was the reason why the Ducks won that game. They drove down. Bo Nix got him in position. They scored the field goal. Shuck was driving for the Red Raiders. So Dorless literally bodied the guy in front of him, swim moved around him, got to Shuck, hit the QB, ball was tipped, pick to the crib, game over. Okay?
Right.
But Dorless was on attack mode all game. He is I said to KT the day, I'm like, I think he's like 265, 270. He's 295, but he moves like a guy that's 265. Okay, like he is just this dude is him. And once he sniffs that he has the advantage on you or has a chance that he has won the battle, look out, man. He's gonna throw you around. So
man, and he's got another matchup. We already talked about Xavier Leggett. We talked about him. South Carolina versus Georgia. So that's one of his key matchups. And finally, KJ Jefferson But we
Yeah.
kind of talked about it a little bit this offseason. Arkansas versus BYU. He's been flawless so far. 382 yards, 5 touchdowns, 73.8 percentage, dominating with pure athleticism, poise. New BYU defense with Jay Hill is a new test. Very intriguing draft ceiling. He's another one of those guys in the 10 to 15 range, right? Between 4 to 15. So what are your thoughts on KJ Jefferson heading into this matchup?
I said it when we first started this thing about when we're breaking down conferences. And I know you remember this once I say it. He's gotten better at every statistical category QB needs to get better at every single season. Yet they keep writing him off.
Right.
Okay. Did anybody see the linebacker bounce off KJ Jefferson last week? Dude came full sprint, tried to Goldberg KJ Jefferson and bounced off him like my man was made of rubber. All right. This dude can take a hit. He's got the big cojones. He'll sit in the pocket. He has no problem taking a hit, and he will deliver a strike. And he's doing it right now with what many believe is an overweight running back that doesn't have as much juice. And it's been a little bit noticeable.
What's his name?
Raheem Rocket Sanders. At 240, he is not as juiced up and lightning fast and twitchy coming out the hole as he was. He's running like, he got a little bit of cement feet. And KJ Jefferson has been doing it knowing that most teams see that there's no run game for them. Yeah. He's their run game. So I'm a big KJ Jefferson fan. And that nugget that Efram dropped about the BYU defense, listen, Jay Hill throws out exotic packages. You're going to blitz from random spots. He'll show you, he'll stack the left side, blitz from the right side. Their linebacker is going full rotation. So this is going to be a big test for KJ Jefferson.
Yeah, and I have another player in that ball game, Kingsley Suamatai. Okay. I think that's how you pronounce it. Offensive tackle. I'm interested to see how he lines up. I know Arkansas isn't the big bad SEC, but they are an SEC defense. Yep. I think he can be a top 50 pick. He's athletic, he's mobile, he's physical. He missed some of the week 2 game due to injury. If he suits up in week 3, I think this is a big game for him.
Yeah. No, right. I love him. I think he's a dominant player.
Frank Gore Jr. Southern Miss versus Tulane. Tulane, like, they're on the radar. They're like, so people are watching this ball game. He had a quiet start to the season. Week 1, he only had 9 touches, 36 total yards, 2 touchdowns. Week 2, tough sledding. Going against Florida State, I'm going to give him a pass. He had 11 carries, 31 yards, 2.3 yards per carry. I want to see how he goes up against Tulane. And finally, my number 1 player to watch this week, Tyler Nubin, safety, Minnesota versus North Carolina. He is just a playmaker. He's a ball hawk. He gets around. Week 1 versus Nebraska, 90.3 PFF grade, 4 yards allowed in coverage, 2 interceptions, 2.8 passer rating allowed. And the reason I want to see this matchup, I think it's going to be a chess match between Nubin, Drake May. I want to see how May handles Nubin, and I want to see how Nubin handles May and how many times he wins that matchup.
Yeah, I love Nubin. Like I said earlier in the show, I think he's climbing up into that top, 3 safety in this class. But how come nobody wants to talk about the fact that Drake May and UNC had so much trouble with App State that it took a running back to go for 258 rush yards for them to beat them? This is what I was talking about. This is the stuff I was talking about. New OC, new system you're developing. You don't have Tez Walker at all now this year. This is what I meant about could Drake May take a step back?
I mean, statistically.
Yes, not the talent-wise.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Well, but it's also, I don't know.
I'm not knocking the kid. I think
I'm talking about as a team. As a team,
right.
Almost losing Appalachian State. I feel like Appalachian State has that effect.
They did it to him last year. It took him down to the wire again. So it's just crazy. Drake May is a dude. Don't get me wrong. It's just I had a feeling that we were going to see games like this where you didn't really see many games like this.
They got to get right for Florida State.
Oh yeah, that's big.
That's the game. Like that's the one. Maybe their eyes are already there. Maybe they know Clemson's out of the picture. Like that's who they need to be.
I don't know if Clemson's out of the picture. They only lost 1. Clemson plays Florida State week 4 too. So
yeah, but have they looked good?
They looked good last week when they dropped 40 plus.
Yeah, who was it on?
Well, that doesn't matter because look at App State against UNC.
But I'm not putting North Carolina in Florida State's.
No. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Clemson's on the outside looking in, but they're not
Right.
out. Just like
Right.
LSU's not out. You know what I mean? One game is not the end of it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't believe in Clemson this year.
I don't believe in Dabo. I believe in the talent on that team,
Right.
though.
Oh man, they do. I mean, when we talked about the ACC and we talked
Right.
about that team. They have, especially that defense. That defense can fly. All right,
Ye-
but we got to wrap this thing up.
Yeah.
We're already at 40 minutes. Tell me about the 3 guys you're ready to watch this week.
All right, I'm gonna go right down the list. I'm gonna go from 3 to 1, and he's a guy that I was ripping apart last year because I thought it was his fault, but it wasn't his fault. It's obviously Dabo Swinney's fault. It's DJU, QB out of Oregon State. They're facing San Diego State. DJU seems to have found a new Bo Nix type resurrection, a new home, right? 73.5% completion in 2 games, 346 passing yards, 5 touchdowns. He's got 10 carries, 21 yards, and 3 touchdowns. That's 8 total touchdowns in 2 weeks. He's second in the FBS and a QBR with 92.4. So, yes, I want to see DJU. His lineup front is awesome. It's like a brick wall. He's had all the time in the world to throw the ball, but he has looked really good going through progressions. So I want to see how he takes on, because San Diego State has pretty decent defense. I want to see how he does in this game. At 2, probably a guy nobody knows, but I'm a weirdo, and I do these crazy things going down rabbit holes. I think he could be this year's JL Skinner for them. That's right. Alexander Tubner, safety out of Boise State. They're going against North Dakota. He has 17 tackles, 12 solo, pass breakup, a pick in 2 games for the Broncos. After being lit up for 2 touchdowns in week 1 on 12 targets and 9 receptions, he knuckled up and was much better with a 76 PFF grading coverage versus UCF in the loss. Like I said, I think Tubner has a chance to be this season's JL Skinner. He lines up all over the place. Safety, he's gone in corner. He's played in the box. He's played in the slot. Tubner's a dude, so let's check him out. He had a week off last week due to a rib injury. But Malachi Corey, wide receiver for Western Kentucky, they're facing Ohio State. Corey's an alpha at 5'11", 210 pounds, swollen Nolan. Like I said, he had a rib injury last week, didn't play, but they easily won. So rest up, young man. You got this big matchup against Denzel Burke, who seems to be back to A+ form. In 2022, Corey had 101 receptions for almost 1,300 yards, 11 touchdowns. I mean, week 1, 4 receptions, 55 yards. The kid, that was in like the first half before the rib injury. The kid is a dog. I think it's going to be a must-see TV. Get your popcorn ready for Corley versus Burke.
All right, man. Well, this has been absolutely phenomenal. Touched on a lot of week 2. You're going to want to check out that Georgia-South Carolina game. You're going to want to check out all of these key matchups. You're going to make sure you're subscribed to the Toilets to Titles podcast network. Check out toiletstotitles.com for all your NFL draft needs. We got Efram, who was on the show earlier. He's joining the team. We're going to be covering you top to bottom throughout the 2024 NFL draft cycle. We will catch you all later on. Take care.